always from the heart of the city, and now on demand 24/7 on the CHFI website. This is the soundtrack to Timing. And I'm Don Jackson, around the world on the internet. Arnold H. Glassow, and featured in the Quotable Quotes column in the April 1979 issue of the Reader's Digest, said, and I quote, "Timing is everything. It's as important to know when as to know how." Unquote. Lovers and other strangers at the right time and place this hour from iTunes and CHFI.com. Van Morrison, Have I Told You Lately? And Lady Antebellum, and Need You Now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, now. I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Kessler in the book Life Lessons, published in 2000 by Scribner, had some very interesting things to say about time. And I quote, "Our lives are governed by time. We live by it and in it. And of course, we die in it. We believe time is ours to save and to lose. We can't buy time, but we talk about spending it. And timing, we believe, is everything." Unquote. More shortly, with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Foreigner, Waiting for a Girl Like You. Michael Buble, Haven't Met You Yet, and Brian Melo with All I Ever Wanted. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Kessler in the book Life Lessons, published in 2000 by Scribner, went on to say, and again I quote, "Time is a useful measurement, but it has only as much value as we give it." Webster's defines time as an interval separating 2 points on a continuum. Birth appears to be the beginning, and death the ending. But they are not. They are just points on a continuum. Albert Einstein pointed out that time is not constant, that it's relative to the observer. And now we know that time passes at different rates depending on whether you are standing still or moving. Unquote. An example of that shortly, with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. The Righteous Brothers with an Unchained Melody, and Richard Marx, Right Here Waiting. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Samuel Johnson in The Idler, written between 1758 and 1760, said, "The joy of life is variety. The tenderest love requires to be renewed by intervals of absence." Unquote. Dr. Ethel S. Person, in her wonderful book Dreams of Love and Fateful Encounters, The Power of Romantic Passion, published in the late 80s by the Penguin Group, wrote, and I quote, "In love, there is a desire to generate endless time. The lovers luxuriate in the freedom to linger, and nothing else seems so valuable. One retrieves the present tense in love. Only the present matters. Past and future are dispensable, irrelevant. Love is valuable for the feeling it evokes in the present, not for its use in generating future yields. Time is reckoned by love's calendar, where there is only before and ever since. Moments when the lovers are together are experienced as timeless, but in separation they seem endless. One is willing to wish one's life away if time would only pass in order to be reunited. As Shakespeare's Cleopatra pleads, "Give me to drink mandragora, that I might sleep out the great gap of time, my Antony is away." Even when the lovers come together, there is an obsession not only with each other, but with time. Promises are cast in terms of future assurances that the love will last forever. The specter overshadowing love is the fear that it will end. Unquote. Lovers and Other Strangers, from iTunes and CHFI.com. Carole King, It's Too Late, and Blue Rodeo with Bad Timing. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers, from iTunes and CHFI.com. Some things are never ill-timed, as one author said. Lois Wise, from Friend to Friend, Letters Only a Woman Could Write, published by Simon & Schuster, wrote, and I quote, "A letter is never ill-timed. It never interrupts. Instead, it waits for us to find the opportune minute, the quiet moment, to savor the message." There is an element of timelessness about letter writing. We are reminded of Jane Austen's novels in a more gracious way of life. Letter writing is that sweet surrender of time and place that allows us to recapture the essence of a particular closeness. When we recount shared memories of special times and special people who have so enriched our lives. Unquote. Lois Wise, from Friend to Friend, Letters Only a Woman Could Write, published by Simon & Schuster. Timing this hour with Lovers and Other Strangers, from iTunes and CHFI.com. Adam Crossley and A Beautiful World. Beautiful world. And the Beatles, In My Life. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers, from iTunes and CHFI.com. One final thought from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Kessler in the book Life Lessons, published in 2000 by Scribner. And again I quote, "In time, everything changes. We change inside. We change outside. Our looks change. And our inner selves change. Our lives continually change. Yet we usually do not like change. Even when we're prepared for it, we often resist it. In the meantime, the world changes around us. It doesn't keep time with us. The changes seem to come either too quickly or too slowly. Change may be our constant companion, but we don't tend to think of it as our friend. Change scares us because we may not be able to control it. We much prefer the changes we have decided to make. They make sense to us. It's the changes that happen to us that make us uneasy, that make us feel as if life may be going in the wrong direction. But like it or not, change happens, and like most things in life, it doesn't really happen to us. It just happens. Change is saying goodbye to an old familiar situation and facing a new, unfamiliar situation. Sometimes it's not the old or the new that unnerves us. It's the time in between. Unquote. And there are a few of us who can certainly identify with that sentiment at this point in time. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.